Excuse me. Are you Jim Unger?
Sure.
How do you do? I'm Dennis McIntosh in W5.
Oh, Dennis, I'm glad you're here. Here. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks very much.
The kind of greeting I should have expected from a man who makes his living drawing Herman. A potato for a nose, a scribble for a face, and anything for a laugh. Millions of people daily share Jim Unger's lunacy and the adventures of this unfortunate, ugly face.
Why doesn't Jim Unger draw beautiful people?
Probably the quickest answer is to say that he can't. Probably the more accurate answer is that beautiful people aren't as funny as ugly ones.
Ask a silly question? No, ask any question, and you get a silly answer.
Rodney Dangerfield is definitely more funny than, say, Robert Redford. Or, let's think, Warren Beatty is more funny than I am. No, I got that backwards, didn't I?
A sampling of Herman.
The sporting goods store phoned. You left your hat on the counter.
Your pulse is very, very weak.
Some of these are much too deep for the people who are mercifully free from the ravages of intelligence, which is most of us.
We'll do a series of x-rays, starting with your wallet.
You've got to be really smart to think up gags.
Can I sit up in the front of the plane?
At age 46, Jim Unger now lives in Nassau with his enchanting friend Daling. Though originally from Britain, Jim reached stardom drawing Herman while living in Ottawa. But he left Canada a year ago to escape those two certainties of Canadian life, winter and taxes, particularly taxes.
I still love Canada. I was successful in the States, but maintained my address in Canada, and then simply pulled up sticks and said the government's interfering too much with me, you know. And I never want to fight them. You see, that's my whole thrust of my life. I don't want to fight them. I'll leave them alone, but I'd rather come and live down here where I don't have the hassles anymore.
Instead, his characters have the hassles, to the delight of his devoted fans. There are 850,000 copies of his 3 Herman treasuries in print, and after less than a decade of cartooning, his work appears in every major North American center, and in 23 countries, from Iceland to Singapore, Germany to Peru.
He hates it when someone uses his bowl.
How does Herman translate in various languages?
Very badly. I can't imagine what it's like in Japanese or Swedish, you know. I mean, I put a caption on it. I suppose because of my English background, I think of him saying something with an English drawl or slang, and I imagine, you know, like I'll put "What's for dinner?" and then some guy in Sweden's reading this, and in his head he's saying, you know, "What's for supper, snookums?" You know what I mean? It's like a different thing, see?
Aren't you dressed yet? My mother will be here in 5 minutes.
Golf. Now there's a perfect setting for Herman comedy and tragedy. Man versus a disobedient little white ball, where losers abound. Jim, Naling, and his brother Bob, who collaborates on many of his cartoons, hit the links with the spirit of Herman all around.
How did you do yesterday, by the way?
76.
76. How did you on the second hole?
66.
60. Not bad. It's getting better all the time.
As Naling assumes the role of the diligent caddy, Jim tries to play golf.
This is my best shot.
Can you fix them by Saturday? I'm in the finals.
My ball went in the hole. What shall I do now?
According to my figures, I'm 357 and you're 358.
If we knew we needed 36 gags, which is 6 weeks' supply, on, say, March the 10th, we would think up 36 gags on March the 9th. That was the old way of working, you see. And I started to get stomach trouble. So I went to the doctor and he said, you know, you've got a nervous stomach. So now we've decided that every second day we'll think of 4 gags.
Jim works very closely with his brother Bob. From the back of the seaside villa, jokes fly off the top of their heads.
There's a guy in prison, right? And it's two convicts, and one of them's saying, I need a letter to the parole board from someone...
Someone big.
Who?
Who's big? The Pope. He's big.
Pope.
Very big, the Pope.
He says to the forger, I need a letter from the Pope by Friday for the parole board. You've got to tighten that up.
Herman spends a lot of time behind bars.
I know why you never write. You're too busy digging that stupid tunnel.
Even more in the hospital.
With my luck lately, I'd say your chances are about 50-50.
Whoops! My mistake. I was supposed to rub it on your chest.
I think people, all of us, are our funniest when we're very vulnerable. And we feel vulnerable when we're, you know, being manhandled by a stranger. You know, I mean, we all have a dentist put his hands in our mouth, and we have doctors touching various parts of our bodies, and when you're in a hospital, you know, they tell you to do anything and you do it.
Oh, please. I promise I won't mess it up like last time.
The evolution of a Herman cartoon. What appears in the newspaper on a spring morning was conceived months before in the Nassau studio.
Yeah, this is one I'm working on. See, this is going to be like Herman with his head bandaged up. See, that looks like a wiener. It's actually a potato.
He calls cartooning a lonely job, then wonders how anyone could be so lucky to be paid for doing this.
This is what I call a rough. And he's lying in hospital. I just put his glasses on. And then I'll have the doctor over here somewhere. And he'll be saying to the doctor, I think my memory's coming back. Ask me who won the World Series in 1994. You know, it's sort of subtly comical because it means he's been busting his gut to remember something that hasn't happened yet. Dennis gets it. I get it. He's my biggest fan.
The nonsense never stops at Unger's villa. Off the wall, slapstick, call it what you will. Nothing can be too outrageous for Jim's taste.
What are you doing down there?
I'm swimming. It's great exercise.
Great exercise. Why don't you try it in the water, Ollie?
Are you kidding? It's freezing.
I hope you didn't forget my suntan lotion.
How much of Herman is actually Unger? Just the nose, he says. But I wonder where the fantasy ends and the reality begins. For example, Garfield, that mischievous cat, has been called the alter ego of American cartoonist Jim Davis. And Ellie, from For Better or Worse, is part creation, part self-portrait of Canadian cartoonist Lynn Johnston. And it was our luck that both Lynn Johnston and Jim Davis were vacationing at Unger's while we were there. Why?
Actually, Dennis, it is a long story. No. Jim Davis, bless him, with Garfield, and Lynn Johnston here with For Better or Worse. They come down here every week to see if I can give them some ideas.
These are three of the biggest stars in the zany but often serious world of cartooning. For a while next to the pool, amid the laughter, and Unger's never-ending craziness, we did talk seriously about their work.
I don't think cartoonists look through people. I think they have an ability to stop and look at everyday situations that other people pass by and look at that situation as if for the first time, as if through the eyes of a child, and to be able to give it a humorous twist. I think that's all we do anyway, is just show life back to the reader as if in a mirror and give it a humorous interpretation.
Most people don't understand that, well, I don't know, being funny, it's hard, it's not easy, and a lot of people consider that you're magic, or that you're different, you were born with a screw loose, which I suppose we were, but...
Sure, if something sad happens in your life, it's tough to get back to work, you know. Like the other day I was having a shower and the soap went down the hole, you know. Well, it's 3 weeks written off right there. 58 cents a bar down here.
It's one of those things that you really do have to work hard at, and you really do you get, well, I get so that what am I doing this for? People expect so much of me, and I don't know that I can live up to what other people think. The media blows you out of proportion. You're no longer a normal person, and people can't come up and converse with you because they are afraid to. And
I step in the party, and I have a real responsibility to say something clever. It kills me to worry, about saying that. So I don't do routines. I'm like Lynn, funny on paper. I've got a whole day to think one funny thought. Jim, on the other hand, is on all the time. He's one of the most genuinely, spontaneously funny men I've ever met.
That is true.
That's true. I couldn't agree with him more.
To our delight, the three cartoonists drew a composite get-well card for a friend of theirs, Tom Wilson, the creator of the cartoon Ziggy.
You know what? That's the eyelids, so it's better than the eyelids.
As cartoonists, they are comedians, drawing for what are called the funnies, coming up with a gag a day. But they are also artists in the truest sense of the word, so quickly sketching magic on paper.
I don't know how she does it. Amazing. I don't care how many times I draw my characters, seriously. I look at someone else draw a character and it just blows me away.
Now I've got to do the ugly one.
Jim had never taken an art lesson before he drew Herman. After he was successful, he took some lessons but stopped. He says he doesn't want Herman to get too slick.
Very nice.
It's worth $15 million, Dennis.
Does Jim Unger have any ambition?
None at all. Just to live a long time and not to offend too many people and never to hurt anyone. I'm not being too profound now, Dennis, but I just want to be left alone,
Are you rich?
Am I rich?
Yes.
Dennis, I have enough money to last me for the rest of my life right now, provided I drop dead next Friday morning.